I've watched President Trump's response during the coronavirus crisis, and needless to say, I have not been impressed. Initially, President Trump stated that the coronavirus was not real, that it was a hoax like the Mueller report, like the Russian collusion report, something cooked up by the Democrats to damage him in an effort to remove him from office. It wasn't long after that his cheerleading talking heads like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity picked up on that theme and ran with it. Even as the coronavirus was invading our shores. When it became apparent early on that the coronavirus was real, because 15 people, at least 15 people, were diagnosed with the virus in the state of Washington, and some was sick, extremely sick. That was an opportunity for President Trump to get a handle on things, put plans in place. Instead, he again downplayed the seriousness of the virus and stated that falsely that we had it contained and the numbers would go substantially lower, that we were ahead of the curve. And again, he was proven wrong. The opinion heads at Fox News began their misinformation campaign by claiming that Democrats were politicizing the event, that the whole coronavirus situation had been cooked up by people who wanted to damage this president, that the markets were tanking as part of this conspiracy theory, that the Democrats ought to get the president, ought to do what the impeachment process couldn't do. And in doing so, as the crises continue to get larger and spread, and with no leadership coming from Washington, individual companies, individual states, individual cities had to take the position of leadership and come up with their own plans to protect their citizens, while our president stumbled around blaming others and not taking full responsibility and stating that the situation was being politicized by others in an effort to get him. Presidents can't choose the times in which they come into office. They can't. They can't choose. You don't know if you have ambitions when you're a kid to becoming president. You don't know what situation is going to be like when you get of age to run. You don't know what the situation would be like when you become a viable candidate for president with a real opportunity in which to win the office. President George W. Bush had no idea that less than a year into his reign well, not a monarchy, but less than a year into his first term as president, that 9/11 would happen. He had no idea. Yes, there were moments early where his predecessor sent information that there was something on the horizon, but it was Republicans versus Democrats, and you don't know how much to take seriously. You don't know if it's a gotcha moment. I did wish that he would have taken that threat seriously, but I can understand why he wouldn't. Climate, left versus right, wasn't as pronounced today as it then as it is now, but it was a tumultuous time because Democrats felt like Al Gore had been cheated, so there was some animosity between the sides. So I can understand why he would not have looked at that situation with the same amount of gravity that he would have otherwise. But that being said, he can't determine what would happen on his watch. 9/11 happened, and President George W. Bush rose to the occasion. He was unifying during those times. President Abraham Lincoln had no idea when he ran for president that the nation would split and fight itself. But he had to rise to the occasion during those times. President Roosevelt had no idea that the Japanese would bomb Pearl Harbor. Yet he had to rise to the occasion during those times. I say that to say that to Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, and all the talking heads, and to Trump himself, the coronavirus was real. And this was an opportunity for President Trump to show why he was the president. He had an opportunity to prove to others why some of his supporters say that he is the greatest president of all times. This is an opportunity to show that. And not only am I saying that he failed, Rush Limbaugh is saying that he failed, Sean Hannity is saying that he failed, Jerry Falwell Jr. is saying that he failed, Laura Ingraham is saying that he failed. You know why and how they're saying that he failed? Because even today they're still saying that the Democrats are using this to damage the president. This is after the president himself has stood on the podium several times, patting himself on the back at the things that he did, that slowed it, he said, that contained it, that we got it under control by the actions we did. We closed off the borders. And he rattled off a number of other things. But Rush doesn't believe that any of those things matter. Sean doesn't believe any of those things matter. Jerry Falwell Jr. doesn't. As late as Friday the 13th, Jerry Falwell Jr. was still stating that this was being politicized, that the Democrats was using this to damage the president. If he believed that the president's actions were as the president was saying, all Jerry would be saying, all Sean would be saying, all Rush would be saying is that look at what the president has done and did. And I'm no longer concerned. But they know the president failed, which is why governors and mayors and CEOs have had to come and formulate their own plans, their own procedures to protect their employees and their citizens. Because the leadership coming from Washington, from the White House, from the so-called greatest president of all time, was non-existent. You can't help but wonder if President Donald J. Trump could not stay in front of a relatively slow-moving virus that you could see coming, that warning bells were set off well in advance. And if he couldn't formulate a plan of action to protect us in this situation, what would happen the next time when a crisis is not so loud, when the crisis doesn't announce itself weeks in advance? Will we spend crucial moments stating that it was a Democrat hoax, that it was someone out to get him? Will we spend those precious moments patting ourselves on the back when lives are being endangered? Will we spend those times going on favorable news shows, denying that the crisis even exists? Donald J. Trump is the President of the United States. He won the 2016 election against high odds. He came into office at a time where the stock market was rising. It was on a continual upward swing. The job market was, the job numbers were going down, nice and steady. And he came in about a year or so into office and was able to get tax cuts, major tax cuts put through. And he sliced regulations. He tried to get the wall that he ran on built, and took money from different things and tried to get it built. And stock market kept going up. Economy looked like it was doing okay. And he took big credit in that. And his supporters gave him big credit for that. But sitting in office when the wheels of the economy continue to roll, because that's what the economy does, at the end of the day, it's not going to determine whether or not you were a great president. This was your moment, President Trump. This was your time. This was your opportunity to shut everyone up. The coronavirus was a gift to you in many respects. That's not to downplay the virus. It's real and it's dangerous, and people ought to put themselves in situations to protect them and theirs. But history, make no mistake, knows that this was your gift. This was your opportunity to show why you were the greatest. And you failed. You absolutely failed.